During each and every NASCAR race, there are invisible forces at work, helping to determine who wins and who loses. Okay, quit with the black helicopter stuff. We're not talking about rigging races or conspiracy theories. The invisible force I'm referring to is air. Aerodynamics play an enormous role in racing. And today, we're talking about one principle of aerodynamics known as downforce. But first, my name is Tyler, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in to this episode of Up to Speed. It's the show where we dive in and explain all things NASCAR related. So, let's get to it. If you've ever flown on an airplane, you've seen aerodynamics at work firsthand. A jet airliner is designed and built so that the air moving around it produces an aerodynamic force known as lift. As the plane travels down the runway with increasing speed, this force also increases, until finally it becomes great enough to lift the plane from the ground, carrying you and your fellow passengers 30,000 feet into the air and off to your destination. A race car, though, is designed and built to do exactly the opposite of an airplane, utilizing the air flowing over the car to push it downward. This downward force is appropriately known as downforce. So, you might be asking, what is the advantage to having the car push down to the ground? For the answer, let's take a look at an everyday object: your shoes. Whether you're hiking a rugged mountain trail or making an aggressive cut on the basketball court, you want your shoes to provide grip. Looking at the skateboarding shoe, for example, it has been designed with a wide, flat sole made from a sticky gum rubber. When I set the shoe down and try to slide it across the concrete, I can feel it resist sliding. Ultimately, the grip of the shoe has its limits, though, and is overcome by the force of my hand pushing against it. However, if I place my foot inside of the shoe, with the weight of my body bearing down on it, it's immediately obvious that it will take much more force to get the shoe to break traction and slide. What does this simple object lesson have to do with racing? Well, my shoes can represent the tires on the race car, while my body weight represents downforce. In the same way that shoes are designed to grip their respective courts or fields, Goodyear constructs their race tires from different rubber compounds, tailoring them to the needs of specific racetracks. You'll also notice that unlike the tires on your car at home, Goodyear Eagle race tires don't have grooves in them. This ensures the largest possible contact patch of rubber touching the racing surface at all times. Furthermore, race teams can adjust the air pressure of the tire, adjust the camber, which is the lean angle of the tire relative to the racing surface, and make other suspension adjustments to help the tires grip at their maximum potential. This is what's known as mechanical grip. Much like the empty shoe in the demonstration, though, the grip potential of the tires themselves has its limits. As the decades have passed, the cars have evolved and the speeds have increased to where mechanical grip alone is no longer enough. Today's race cars utilize the air flowing around the vehicle to further increase grip. This is what's referred to as aerodynamic grip. Downforce is a key part of this equation. Much like my body weight helped to firmly stick the shoes to the ground, downforce helps the car's tires to more fully grip the racetrack, allowing the car to navigate and corner at higher speeds without losing grip or control. Much like airplanes have wings to create lift, there are specific devices added to race cars to help create downforce. On a NASCAR Cup Series car, there are three main components that provide downforce. First is the rear spoiler, which is the blade that stretches across the trunk of the car. Next is the front splitter, which is the little lip underneath the front bumper. Last of all is the rear diffuser, which is a series of fins underneath the back of the car. These devices interrupt the flow of air around the car and create downforce. This downward force is equivalent to hundreds of pounds pushing down on the car. While downforce increases grip and helps the car to handle better, there is a catch. The same components that create downforce also create drag. No, not that drag. Drag is an aerodynamic force that opposes an object's motion through the air. For example, it's this force that allows a parachute to slow the downward descent of a skydiver, and, just like the parachute, drag slows down the forward movement of a race car. Reduced drag helps the car to be fast down the straightaways, but downforce helps the cars to be fast in the corners. Finding the right mix of both is the trick. NASCAR sets the rules, mandating that all cars have the same size spoiler, splitter, and rear diffuser. However, through the use of suspension adjustments, race teams can change the height of the car, which affects the way that these devices interact with the air. At a large, superspeedway-style racetrack with long straightaways and wide sweeping corners, teams might trim the car out for less drag. On a smaller, shorter track with tighter corners, teams may instead go with more downforce to help the drivability of the car. Aside from the different sizes and shapes of racetracks, the asphalt and concrete surfaces used to pave them, and even the weather all affect the way a car is set up on a given race weekend. Finding the correct balance of downforce and drag is just one of a multitude of considerations and adjustments that determine who is in contention for the victory. It's no wonder then why race teams have multiple engineers on their payrolls. Now, downforce is a topic we could talk all day about, but hopefully this brief overview let you know a little bit more about what it is and just why it's so important. If you have something you'd like to add to the conversation, or if you have a question about today's video, drop me a comment down below. I'd like to hear from you. And if there's another topic you'd like to know more about, or maybe a rule you want explained, let me know this down below also. We just might use your idea for our next video. Lastly, if you've watched this far, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps a lot. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode.